Okay, let's go talk about secret must-own lens. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, well, you've recommended too many must-own lenses, and well, I don't necessarily agree that's the case. I did give a great deal of logical thought to this before actually giving it a must-own recommendation, but it does deserve that status, and it fits several criteria that it does fit within the must-own status criteria of, as far as what I say is a must-own lens. This is one of the Nikkor Trinities. Now, I have owned the 70-200 VR and the VR2, which is a $2,400 lens. This is the best value for your money if you want a fast action lens without spending a fortune. It is the perfect wedding lens. It is really a necessity. That is the Nikkor 80-200 2.8 ED. This is a current production lens. The prior version to this is the push-pull. This lens has been made for quite some time. Here is the manual / automatic actuation ring. You have a limit switch up here. This is 77mm front element. Why is this a must-own lens? Like I said, it's $1,200 new, still current production lens, and it's been made for a long time in various varieties. And there is a reason, a very strong reason for that. Now, is this the best lens to recommend for someone who is a sports photographer, out there shooting basketball games or horses or bicycles? No. Is it the fastest autofocus lens? You have to wait for the next video for me to actually talk about this, about why people fight about the 70-200s or Age-200s. There's a perfectly logical reason for it, and I'll go over it in the next video. And comparing it to the Tamron over here and the 70-200 VR2, which is the $2,400 70-200 2.8 Nikkor, but this 80-200 2.8 is a top recommendation. I just saw one used minty shape for $450. Typically, this particular lens of this particular make, the latest incarnation of the 80-200 2.8 by Nikon, will run you about $500 $550. It is built like a frigging tank. Actually, when I was buying some used camera gear off the guy with the talking cat down in Cape Coral last week, we were talking. I didn't even bring up this lens. We were talking about Nikon lenses, and he said to me, he actually knew a lot about lenses and on a lot of cameras. He's saying, oh my God, what about that 80-200 2.8? Have you ever owned that lens? Said, yeah, I've got two of them. It's awesome. It's like, oh, we were talking about this lens as if we were talking about some sort of naked supermodel that we ran into or something, and literally does deserve that status. Now, this lens may be too expensive for you, so well, I can't swing it, and that's perfectly understandable. I mean, not everything has to be within your budget, and you may not necessarily need this, but I give this a top recommendation as far as a must-own status. Like I said, I gave it a long, logical think-through, and this is a perfect lens. Now, are you shooting basketball, or you're shooting a sports scenes that you need a super fast autofocus? You don't need that for weddings. The bride is not coming, around the track in the event, or she is not rounding the corner that you need super fast autofocus or vibration reduction. You don't need it. I mean, if you got a good monopod, you don't need it. We got by without vibration reduction for ages back as a photographer. If you got any bloody skills, well, it doesn't have vibration reduction. You don't need it, you lazy, you schmuck. You don't need it. Well, yeah, you didn't. Yeah, sure. Okay. Right. You don't need it. There are times that you can justify it, and you do need it for action shots. Now, did we get by shooting action, everything else, for ages before vibration reduction existed? Yes, you don't need it. You don't need vibration. If you got a monopod, do you know how to hold your camera correctly? You don't need it. Do you know how to adjust your ISO and your shutter speed? You don't need it. This lens is the best deal for a fast telephoto. It is built like a freaking tank. It is awesome. It is the cat's ass, the bee's knees. It is pure liquid sex. I can't recommend this lens high enough. I gave this a long thought. You're thinking, well, you're just cranking out another video to post another video for the sake of making another video. No. I gave it a long thought and thinking about it for a while, and I really knew that this actually lens deserved me deserved for me to give it a must-own status over the VR2, which has, by the way, vignetting and hotspot issues. And the fact that it's $2,400 and that has faster autofocus, it certainly does. Has vibration reduction, it certainly does. But it's also $2,400. You can snag one of these meant to use for $600. And it is just as good, and it is sharper. Better color rendition, better depth than any other 70-200 out there. It's a 16-element construction lens. It is built like a damn tank. Here's your mounting ring, of course adjustable right here. What can I say about this lens that I haven't said already? It is incredible. I give it a top recommendation. It is a best purchase. There is nothing finer you can buy for the money. I mean, you have to spend a lot more money, and all you will end up with, in the case of the Tamron, or the lens above this, in the case of 70-200 VR2, you'll get faster autofocus, you will get vibration reduction, but I'll be talking about this in the next video. But this lens is sharper. It has fewer glass elements. It has better color rendition. Now, while this is a 70-200 zoom, this is the rough equivalent of a telephoto prime. No, it is not a fixed 300mm, fixed 200mm prime. What I'm saying is, this lens is closer to what a beautiful prime produces than any other expensive VR and VC 70-200 that's out there. Not my opinion, it's flat out the friggin' case. So, you have all the wonderful qualities of a zoom, and most all of the wonderful qualities of a prime within this 80-200 2.8 ED Nikkor. This is the D series. This is not the push-pull one. You can see what this is. Okay, find it. $600 meant to used. New, it is $1,200. It is worth every bit of $1,200. It is just built like hell. It is built like a 1970s construction prime lens. It's incredible. It's great for film cameras. You actually have an aperture ring on the thing. See there? Great. So, this is my top recommendation as a must-buy telephoto. Not because it is cheaper, but because it has better color rendition, better color saturation, better depth. It is built like a tank. It outclasses everything else as far as build construction. Okay, it is the best on color rendition, depth, and accuracy. Therefore, it is closer to a prime, even though, of course, it is an 80-200 telephoto zoom. This lens is awesome. There is a damn reason why this lens has been made in several carnations for so long, and why it is still made in Japan, by the way. High quality construction in Japan. Why this lens is still made. Because pros that have shot all the glass out there know how great this lens is. Everybody else is like, oh, well, this doesn't have VR, and it isn't the fastest auto. Oh, you don't understand what this lens is. Until you've shot it and you've shot the rest, you don't understand it. If you have, you will understand it. And I'm telling you, this is top recommendation. It's the 80-200 autofocus Nikkor ED. Like I said, $1,200 new, $600 roughly used, although I just saw one for $450 in really great shape. You'll be so happy with it. It is impossible for you to buy this lens and not to be happy with it. Now, the only shortcoming I would not recommend this lens for is if someone is a photojournalist and they're out there shooting basketball, horse races, fast bicycle, because it doesn't have the fastest autofocus. Or as a wedding lens, or as a nature lens for shooting far off wildlife critters as a fast telephoto, it's awesome. It's unmatched. As far as the quality of images it produces, I mean, what you need for weddings. You want this lens instead of, the $2,300, $2,400, 70-200 VR Nikkor, it has to be a better one. No, it is not a better wedding lens. This is a better wedding lens. Produces better images for less than half the cost. Okay? And if you buy it meant to use, far less than half the cost. Okay, thanks for watching. And like I said, I did give a long think out to posting this video. I just didn't make another video to crank out another video. So Thanks for watching, and if you got any questions, send them to me. I'm altogether happy to answer your questions, and I'm here to actually help people, believe it or not. Okay?